On the advice of counsel, I must respectfully decline.
We can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? We can focus on the future, but make sure something like this never happens. When I talk to like real people in real America, Laura, back in Missouri, this is something that they're asking about all the time. Who is actually running the country? You've had whistleblowers come forward who said that Joe Biden got lost trying to find the bathroom in the West Wing, and like who's in charge of the Autopen, and look at all the decisions President Trump's had to make in the last 2 or 3 weeks with Iran and NATO and the big beautiful bill. You need.
What are they hiding? Well, we finally heard from Biden's longtime doctor, Kevin O'Connor, sort of. He appeared before the House Oversight Committee for his deposition regarding questions about President Biden's mental fitness. And we just got our hands on the video.
Peace be upon you, friends. Today's video is about a deeply serious and alarming issue, something that's no longer just speculation, but a growing concern being echoed by US senators, doctors, and even journalists. So here's the question we'll be asking today. Was President Joe Biden's mental health so deteriorated that he was no longer fit to run the country? And if that was the case, then who was actually in charge? Who was really running the United States from behind the scenes? Let's take a look from the beginning at what's happening behind the curtains of power in Washington. Let's begin with a key figure, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, President Biden's personal physician. Recently, Dr. O'Connor was called to testify before Congress. Naturally, the expectation was that he would provide clear answers about the president's cognitive and physical health, but to everyone's surprise, he refused to answer most of the questions. Why? Because according to his lawyer, he was exercising his Fifth Amendment right, the right to remain silent to avoid self-incrimination. Now think about that for a moment. Why would the president's doctor need legal protection to avoid answering health-related questions? What is he afraid of? And more importantly, what is he trying to hide? If there's nothing wrong, wouldn't it be easier to just tell the truth? That brings us to the next and perhaps even more disturbing question. If Biden's mental faculties were indeed compromised, then who was really calling the shots? Was someone inside the White House making executive decisions on Biden's behalf, perhaps even forging or simulating his approval? Senator Eric Schmidt recently raised some troubling concerns. He claimed that Biden was being deliberately shielded from public interaction, that his meetings were limited, and that a sort of protective wall was built around him. Even members of his own Democratic Party reported difficulty reaching him. This is highly unusual not just for a US president, but for any world leader. It raises a chilling possibility. Was Biden being controlled or managed like a puppet while someone else pulled the strings behind the scenes? Now, here's where things get even stranger. Reports emerged that an Autopen was being used to sign presidential documents. For those unfamiliar, an Autopen is a machine that automatically replicates a person's signature, often used for routine approvals or ceremonial letters. But in this case, it was allegedly being used for executive orders and official decisions. The question arises, was President Biden even aware of what he was signing, or that his signature was being used at all? And if others were using the Autopen in his name, wasn't that essentially bypassing the democratic process and deceiving the American public? Because if Biden wasn't the one making those decisions, then who was? Here's another bizarre twist. A journalist reportedly managed to get access to President Biden's personal phone number, but as soon as the call was made or even hinted at, his team immediately deactivated the number and replaced it with a new one. Why such urgency? Was the fear that Biden might say something unscripted, something that would expose the truth about his condition or who was really in control? This reaction suggests that the team around Biden isn't just protecting his privacy, they might be protecting a much bigger secret. So now we arrive at the core question. Was the American public deceived? Was President Biden's declining health intentionally hidden from the people, while a different group quietly steered the ship of state? The issue here isn't just about one man's cognitive decline. This is about national leadership, public accountability, and democratic transparency. In a country like the United States, which claims to be a beacon of democracy and transparency, how could such a critical issue be swept under the rug? If Biden wasn't fully aware, wasn't fully evolved in policymaking, or wasn't mentally capable of serving, then the decisions being made in his name could be considered illegitimate. Who wrote those policies? Who approved foreign aid, military actions, or economic plans? These are not minor questions. They go to the very heart of democratic governance and public trust. This story isn't just about American politics. This is a global issue because when the leader of the most powerful nation on earth is potentially incapacitated and someone else is secretly in charge, the entire world should be concerned. Think of the international decisions made over the last few years, from foreign military strategies to economic sanctions, energy policies, and trade deals. Were these decisions made by a fully aware, mentally fit president or by an unelected group acting in his name? And if the American people were kept in the dark, was this just political manipulation or something far more serious? If you, like many others, believe that this goes beyond politics and amounts to a betrayal of public trust, then don't stay silent. Like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel, because we'll continue to bring you real stories, real investigations, and real questions that others are too afraid to ask. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, stay informed, and as always, see you in the next video. Peace and God bless.